I want to take a moment to reflect on what is ahead for the University of Oklahoma's football team and Lincoln Riley defense coordinator Alex Grinch, because at this particular time, we are about to find out just how deep and what the intestinal fortitude of his football team really is. Because this is a time for which so many folks do not know what tomorrow will look like, and they have to trust each other to get there today. So in the football world, what that means is the kids are having to talk with themselves about what they believe, what they want, and what they expect from their leadership, namely their coaches. What they have seen from players in the Pac-12 has led players across the country to question athletes' rights and to say things like, I want a seat at the table. I am a proponent of unions across all labor industries because I believe that labor needs to be represented in all sorts of negotiations, not just around money, but around health, safety, and welfare. This is a time for which athletes, particularly football players, are recognizing themselves as billion-dollar revenue-generating machines and how they collectively can try to change the way the conversation is geared. But this is not a country that has been receptive to any kind of labor union or to player rights. This is not the country where we look at professional athletes and say, yeah, fam, go get $1 million like I go get my money for work. We expect them to operate apart. We expect them to do what we want them to do, nothing more, nothing less. That means don't offend us with your political beliefs. Don't offend us with your religious beliefs. How dare you stand up for racial equality? How dare you demand you get paid for the work you do? And while this is hypocrisy of the highest order, I would argue that the United States has made its entire being about hypocrisy and of the highest order. This is a country, as Ibram Kendi has shown us, resides in contradiction. It has been a massacring nation that said it cherished life, a slave-holding nation that claimed it valued liberty, a hierarchical nation that declared it valued equality, a disenfranchising nation that branded itself a democracy, a segregated nation that styled itself separate but equal, an excluding nation that boasted of opportunity for all. A nation is what it does, not what it originally claimed it would be. Often a nation is precisely what it denies itself to be. And from Kendi, we can go to this place of football and say, what do we value? And not what do we believe in, but what do you not believe in? It's not enough to say, hey, I believe that your life matters. To say that Black Lives Matter is also to acknowledge a problem in the United States that has gone on for centuries. It is to acknowledge that we are not where we want to be, both in labor and in civil rights. It is to acknowledge that the way that you talk about the WNBA reflects more about your chauvinism and sexism than it does the way that you talk about whether or not there should be a WNBA. How you use pronouns, how you use your words. Do you use an epithet to make your point about not using epithets like Gary Patterson? Do you use your position of privilege and power to try to make the world better and to put more of a load on your shoulders or to make your life easier? I submit to you, I don't want leaders who make life easier for themselves. That's not your job. Your job as the leader, as an owner, as a coach, is to make life much more equitable for the people that follow you. If it sounds hard, that's because it is. If it seems impossible, that means you're doing it right. Now, as Oklahoma will try to figure out how to play football this season, and already is dealing with something like injury, something like depth problems, I want to acknowledge that right now, the kids, to a man, seem bound together. Caleb Kelly blew out his knee again for the second time in 15 months. I hope that he tries to pursue a 6th year of eligibility, for which he can, under NCAA rules that say you can go get a medical red shirt if you've suffered back-to-back career-ending injuries, provided you have not played 30% of the season. I would not blame him if he decided to stop playing football, though, either. Because with his injuries and the injuries that Rodney Anderson has sustained and continue to sustain, you can hear hearts breaking among Sooner Nation. This was a 5-star player in the 2016 class who has yet to live up to that potential, though he has shown tremendous signs and sparks. But perhaps he can be of even greater import this year as more or less a student assistant coach, not unlike what he did last year. He had as much to do with Kenneth Murray's tremendous leap from, can this guy even play inside linebacker, which I said he could, to being a first-round draft pick at inside linebacker. He will be instrumental in growing up guys like Brian Asamoah, who probably assumes that starting will linebacker position beside DaShaun White. He's going to be so important to the maturation of Robert Barnes, who's dropping down from safety, from Jamal Morris, who's dropping down from safety to play at those positions, with Brian Mead, who has experience there, but is still not a scholarship player. And when I look at that defense in particular, I am going to pay very attention to who its leaders are, who they choose to lead them, and how those leaders react both on the football field and off. This is a team that will stand on the backs and shoulders of 2 kids that went to public schools in Tulsa. Trey Brown and Pat Fields will make up half of the defensive backfield for Oklahoma this year, and they need to be 2 of the better players doing it. Pat Fields is already demonstrating his ability to lead off the field as well as on it. Trey Brown has an opportunity to have the same sort of leap that Kenneth Murray Jr. did last year. They're going to look to DaShaun White coming out of Richland to try to be their talisman in the middle, as he is the most instinctual linebacker that Brian Odom has ever coached. They're going to ask Oklahoma kids like Jalen Redmond and LaRon Stokes to shoulder this, to be diligent when talking about testing, to be diligent when talking about putting in the work and the work ethic, and to understand that they get to live in this time where no football player has been challenged the way that they are about to be challenged. Embrace it. Embrace it. Young Lions, go hunt it. Go hunt your pride for your pride. With tooth and claw, leave your mark. For your rights and your dreams are worth chasing, young men. I love you and I am rooting for you.